Hello. Well, backed by popular demand, I have a video on how I rewired my PVT60 for a big number of other functions, numerous other functions. And I've done something similar with my Fender Blacktop Strat. So if you're not too familiar with these were made from 2011-ish to 2014-ish. They have the slimmer headstock with the kind of golden Fender font there. Sometimes they call it the spaghetti logo. And this one happens to have the full maple neck and the sonic blue paint job. And then someone had went and painted the pickguard white, and it still looks good that way. But from the factory, they left with a gentle bit of mint. See it on the camera, it looks pretty green, and it makes the blue stand out a little bit more. So it's an optical illusion between the color of your pickguard and the sonic blue. Whether your pickguard is white or the mint, it really makes your blue take on a different color. Anyhow, they call these blacktops because they all came with these Fender blackface amp knobs. And they all had 3 of them, and then you got a black tip on your switch. And then the switch was always a 5-way switch, regardless of how many pickups you had here. On the Stratocasters, the blacktops only came 2 ways. They came with a pair of nickel-plated humbuckers like I have here. I got this guitar used, and that's why there's some scratches on it, and it's definitely due for a cleaning. But you could get it in this format. Otherwise, you could also get one with a center pickup. But those kind of were strictly on the black, gray, and silver guitars. You couldn't get the sonic blue in that format, and I don't know if you could get the candy apple red in that format or not. But anyhow, that still had all the same electronics and hardware and everything else. They were all the same in that regard. Some did have a Floyd, but those are pretty far and few in between. These alone are pretty rare. So, but they're sweet guitars. They're very versatile to begin with, because it is a 5-way selector, even if you only have 2 pickups. And the factory setups are down position, you have a full bridge humbucker. Next position up, you'd have each one of these, you'd have both of these pickups, but as single coil version. Middle slot would be both of these as humbuckers. Next slot can vary depending on the model year, according to some sites. This 4th position would be just the next pickup, but on single coil mode. Other websites and sources say that it's these pickups, but in a different combination. Like in the 2nd position, I believe it's the 2 outers, but in this 4th position, it could be the neck outer and the bridge inner. Probably not this, but I believe it's like this, and that 2nd position is this. And then in that last 5th position, it's the whole neck humbucker. And that leaves for a very, very versatile arrangement, especially if only having 2 pickups. It's extremely handy, and your tone controls work like they do on a normal Stratocaster. This is your master and volume. This tone is dedicated to the neck, I believe, and this one is dedicated to the bridge, unless I have those backwards, but that's how they work. They're not master tones, they're just dedicated to each specific pickup. But I'll set the camera down, and you can listen to the amp play each of the stock settings. All right, yep. So that was all 5 of the features. That was your first position with the bridge humbucker. Next position were the two outer single coils. Middle position were 2 humbuckers in full. The 4th test was the neck single, and then 5th test was the neck and humbucker mode. Now that is plenty versatile, but that doesn't access all the features these humbuckers have the potential to do. Well, what's a way to get more out of them? Well, there was, from the factory, there was no stock setting for just having a bridge single coil. So I addressed that. There was also no setup to have this kind of pairing of coils, which I like a lot. So it's the inner of the neck and then the outer of the bridge, and then it's twin, the outer of the neck and the inner of the bridge. What this does is it gets you that 2 single coil pickup tone, that like your Telecaster or Jazzmaster would have. But the big thing is when you do offsets like this, instead of just going off the outer pole pieces, when you do offsets like this, it makes the bridge more mellow, like this. And if you do the other configuration, it makes the neck more mellow and the bridge hotter. So those two make for a very good pair. And it's a hard combination to acquire on really almost any other guitar, unless you were able to split the pickups in that manner. And that was the same thing I did with my T60. I made it so that you flip a switch and you could go between I think outers and inners, because that seemed to make more difference on that guitar than the offset pairs. So I went with that route with that. So how did I incorporate all that stuff? Well, I rewired everything. I can't find the schematic right now, but when I do, I'll scan that in, and there'll be a link for it in the description. So then you can do it on yourself. If you want to do something slightly different, you're welcome to do it. But the guitars are sweet because of this magical 5-way switch. It is a 5-position, 4-pull, 5-throw. So that makes it very special. The switch can do anything, well, almost anything you could ever want to do with this guitar. It's just spectacular. So I was able to rewire it, and I rewired it to the following, with me not touching any of these knobs. Position 1 is bridge humbucker. Position 2 are these 2 outer single coils. Position 3 are both whole humbuckers. Position 4 are the inner single coils. And position 5 is just the neck humbucker. But what I did is I added a push-pull at the volume, and this controls the single coil feature on the 2 outer positions. So now, where this would normally be a bridge humbucker, you pull this knob up, and now this setting is bridge single coil. And then over here on the neck position, this becomes the neck single coil. Push it back down, you're at neck humbucker. And then what I had also done is, because each of these tones is hooked up to a specific pickup, I believe it's this tone for this pickup and this tone for this pickup. What I did was I set up a push-pull on each of these, and they each have a specific function. This one, when you pull it out, it favors the bridge in your in-between tones. So when we go to our second position, what was these outers, when I pull this up, it becomes the bridge outer single and the neck inner. So it makes the bridge more dominant. This gets you much closer to that second position sound on a Strat, versus normally it would sound like the middle position of a Telecaster. Then we go to our 4th position, And this is where this knob comes alive. And these two exist independently of each other. You can have them like this, and it, they work independently of each other, and they don't affect each other. It's just each function on each knob affects the dominance of the pickup you're selecting. So in our fourth position, what was normally the inner two coils, what we had done is I set it so that when you pull this knob up, you now get both single coils, but it's the inner of the bridge and the outer of the neck. So it makes your neck more dominant. So if we review, here's what's going on. This is your humbucker. This here is your outer singles. Here's your both humbuckers. Here's your inner singles. And then here is your neck humbucker. But back to the start, pull this up. Now you're at bridge single, and it's going to be the one with the pulled pieces because it's hotter that way. We move it to the second position. We pull this up. Now, instead of being these two, it's these two. So your bridge single is a little bit more dominant. This one is still two full humbuckers. Didn't change that. I could have, but I didn't feel it was necessary. And it was going to further complicate things, not only for wiring, but for me understanding. In this fourth position, we pull up on this knob, and now it's these two single coils, the outer of the neck and the inner of the bridge, so that your neck single coil has more dominance. And then this final position, it's the neck single. So there's all that. So I'll set the camera down and I'll play through a few of these, and I'll try to tell you which one is which as we go through it. So I'll set the camera down and we'll get to it. Okay, so we'll start at the bridge humbucker. So and then we'll do the bridge single coil. And then we'll move on to our Telecaster position. So second position Strat sound. Then we'll go to our middle position, that's just going to be the two humbuckers. Then our fourth position, standard, so that's the two inner single coils. And then we alternate that to the fourth position that you'd find on the Strat. And now we're in the fifth position where it's the neck humbucker. Tone, the neck single coil. So that's about all there is to it. So I took a guitar that emulated, well, all the normal Les Paul tones, and a tele tone and a Strat tone, and I made it into one that covers all the Les Paul tones, all the typical Les Paul humbucker tones, one that covers most of the Strat tones, quite well actually. aside from the middle pickup thing, because it just physically doesn't have it, so it just can't be done. Covers the Telecaster tones well, covers the Jazzmaster / Mustang tones well. So yeah, I took something that was great and I made it darn near perfect. The only improvement I could possibly make is assign something into a switched fifth position here, but that's only half open slot, and I've already filled up all the features that I'm kind of interested in. One thing I could do is make that so that these two humbuckers are out of phase, but that really just doesn't benefit me. I do have my T60 for that. That has the the phase capability, and it's pretty cool. But I don't find myself desiring it on this guitar versus the T60, where it makes a bigger difference with those pickups. But this is kind of perfection in my mind. If I ever get a HSH version of this guitar, we'll do this same wiring setup to it, and then we make it so that this push-pull volume knob that I added can actually turn on and off the single middle pickup like it does for my bridge and neck settings. That'd be really sweet. So then when it's in the middle position, on this guitar, middle position is the two humbuckers no matter what. So on the HSH, I could have it so that it's just like that, but when you pull up on the volume knob, now instead of the two humbuckers, it's a single coil in the center. And I'd adapt some of the other parts of the schematic that I've done, because when you have the center single coil, you don't really need to have this alternating. I do this alternating single coil thing because it's a good way to emulate a third single coil sitting in the middle. Once you have that, you really don't need to do this. This becomes almost redundant in that manner. You'd still do it, but I personally haven't seen nor felt the need. So this video is playing along enough. Like I said, when I find the schematic, I'll upload it to like Google Drive or something, and you'll see a link for it in the description, and you can click on that and view it. Same thing with the T60 video. You can I'll put the schematic somewhere and I'll link it to that video description so you guys can check it out. It's all stuff you can do yourself. It was a pain in the butt figuring it out, but hey, when all you have is an hour of downtime every day at school, after 180 days of school, oh yeah, you'll figure out whatever whatever diagrams you'd want. Because I had all that sorted out before I even got these guitars. I knew what I wanted to do with the T60 well before I got it. So I built the schematic for that when I was 14 or 15. And then I got the guitar when I was 15 or 16. And then with this Blacktop, I got this when I was 19 or 20. I think 19. But I had figured out the schematic many months earlier, and then I narrowed it down to what it has now. Only 2 weeks before I got this guitar, so so it's all easy enough stuff. It's just figuring out what you want it to do and how you want it to do it. It just takes some time, and it does take some trial and error. Sometimes when you set up the stuff, you're like, no, I don't like having so many controls in one pod, and if things seem out of balance, it seems like these two are doing more than this one, or I'm only utilizing 2/5 of all my switch positions. So it takes some research and development on your end, but I already gone through most of that. So what I have is a pretty good product. Like I said, unless you have the HSH, and then you do that middle coil thing that I suggested. I don't see any other improvements. But if you don't have that, you just physically can't do it. So, but that's an easy feature to implement. Anyhow, the video has been plenty long enough, so we'll end it here. You guys keep rocking.